In the previous video lecture, we have learned IRMS is equal to I naught by root 2, and 1 by root 2 is 0.707. So IRMS value is 0.707 I naught, or you can write it as 70% of I naught. Likewise, this is 63% of I naught. If you plot graph for IRMS, like if you plot graph for sinusoidal varying current, you will be getting graph this way. You are taking voltage here, and your variation of voltage is taken with respect to angle. This is 0, it is pi by 2, and this is pi, and this is 3 pi by 2, and this is 2 pi. And the maximum peak value is Vp, out of which V average and VRMS are only 63% and 63.7% and 70.7% of the peak value. So RMS voltage and average voltage are always less than that of the maximum peak voltage of that particular given voltage. That is confirmed from this graph. Now let us learn few more terms or definitions corresponding to AC current. As we already have learned, alternating voltage will be time variable voltage and alternating current is time variable current. The variation of voltage or the repetition of maximum peak value current in the circuit for unit time is said to be frequency of AC. Frequency is denoted with F. So it is the number of cycles completed by AC in 1 second. Number of cycles taking place in 1 second is said to be frequency of AC. It is denoted with F. And time period of AC is reciprocal of the frequency. So F is equal to 1 by T. Unit of frequency is Hertz. Unit of time period is a second in SI system. And mean square value of AC. Mean square value of AC already we have learned, it is I naught square is equal to I naught divided by 2, or IRMS is equal to I naught divided by root 2. This is also called virtual value. It is also called virtual value. Next definition concerned with alternating circuits, it is form factor. Form factor. What is meant by form factor? Form factor is the ratio of RMS value to that of average value over half cycle. So it is IRMS divided by I average, or ERMS divided by E average. As we know, IRMS is equal to I naught by root 2 and I average is equal to 2 I naught divided by pi. I can just substitute this. So form factor F can be written as IRMS is equal to I naught by root 2 divided by 2 I naught divided by pi. I naught gets cancelled. It is pi divided by 2 root 2. You need to remember this value. Form factor of AC circuit, it is 1.11. Of course, this is purely mathematical. And there are few points regarding alternating voltage. You can just understand them. Alternating current. The first point regarding alternating current is AC ammeter and voltmeter read only RMS value. The value which is recorded by ammeter and voltmeter, if you are connecting one AC voltage, it is only RMS value, but not peak value or average. It is only RMS value. So effective value of alternating current or voltage is nothing but RMS value. That's point number 1. And next point is AC can be measured by using hot wire ammeters or hot wire voltmeters because the heat generated is independent of direction of the current. So the heat which is generated in hot wire ammeter and voltmeter is independent of direction of the current. So generally we will be using hot wire ammeter and voltmeter in order to measure alternating voltages and alternating currents. And point number 3, alternating current produces the same heating effects as that of direct current. So I can be mathematically written equal to IRMS in case of AC. And next is AC is more dangerous than DC of same voltage. So 100 volt AC mean ERMS is equal to 100 volt and E naught will be equal to 100 divided by root 2 volt. And 100 volt DC is equivalent to ERMS. ERMS is nearly equal to DC value of the current. But if you are dealing with AC, actually E naught value is root 2 times 100. So maximum peak current of AC can be written as root 2 is 1.414 into 100, which is equal to 141.4 volt. So if you are providing 100 volt AC, it means that the maximum peak value of that voltage is 141. Therefore, AC is more dangerous than that of DC because it gives more peak value. Next is AC can be produced by the principle of electromagnetic induction just by revolving a coil in external magnetic field. AC can be produced. Production of AC is very simple. So these are few important points which you can keep it in your mind when we are dealing with alternating circuits. Students, we already have learned ERMS is equal to E naught into sine omega t and ERMS is equal to E naught divided by root 2. IRMS is equal to I naught divided by root 2. Now, in order to calculate power in AC circuits, we know power is equal to voltage into current. And in this case, V is VRMS and I is IRMS. Therefore, VRMS and IRMS, they can be in phase or they cannot be in phase because we are dealing with sinusoidal. We are dealing with sinusoidal functions. Therefore, current and voltage in AC can be in the same phase or cannot be in the same phase. Therefore, when we are dealing with AC power, always there is some phase angle between voltage and current. Therefore, power is defined as the product of voltage and component of voltage which is in phase with the voltage. So when we are dealing with power in AC, you need to write it as P is equal to E I cos phi. Actually, this is phi. Cos pi is the phase angle between voltage and current in AC circuit, where E and I are the RMS values of voltage and as well as current. And this cos pi is called power factor. This cos pi is called power factor. In order to calculate instantaneous power, we will just multiply the instantaneous voltage and instantaneous current. Instantaneous voltage is E naught sine omega t. Instantaneous current is I naught sine omega t plus pi, because voltage and current may be in phase or may not be in phase. If they are in phase, pi will be equal to 0. If they are not in phase, then you need to substitute that pi value from 0 to 90 or 0 to 180 degrees, any angle You can substitute that here, it is pi. So if you multiply these two, you can write it as E naught I naught into sine omega t into sine omega t plus pi. This is instantaneous power. Instantaneous voltage multiplied with instantaneous current gives you instantaneous power. And next is average power. Average power is also called true power. The average of instantaneous power in an AC circuit over full cycle is called average power. Its unit is watt. And average power, P average, is equal to work done divided by time taken. And work done can be written as integration of power into time taken. So work done can be written as integration 0 to t power. Already we have got instantaneous power as E naught I naught sine omega t into sine omega t plus pi. That I'll substitute here. So if I substitute this and if you evaluate this integration, you will be writing it as work done W is equal to E naught I naught cos pi into 1 by 2. E naught I naught cos pi into 1 by 2. Therefore, P average can be written as work done divided by time taken. Work done is equal to E naught I naught into cos pi divided by 2. And time taken, this is for 1 second. So P average can be written as E naught into root 2, I naught into root 2 divided by into cos pi. E naught by root 2 is ERMS. I naught by root 2 is IRMS. So ERMS, IRMS into cos pi is defined as P average. So P average can be written as this value, ERMS, IRMS into cos pi. And this cos pi is the phase angle between RMS voltage and RMS current. And next definition is apparent or virtual power. Apparent or virtual power. The product of apparent voltage and apparent current in an electric circuit is called apparent power. This is always positive. Apparent power or virtual power is equal to ERMS into IRMS. ERMS is E naught by root 2. IRMS is I naught by root 2. So P virtual is equal to E naught into I naught divided by 2. This is equation for virtual power. Yeah. Students, the voltage of an AC circuit is represented with 220 root 2 sine of 314 t minus pi volt. Calculate peak RMS value of the voltage and average voltage and frequency of AC. You can just compare this basic equation with V naught into sine of omega t minus pi. If you are comparing this equation with V is equal to 200 root 2 sine of 314 t minus pi, you can compare this V naught is equal to 200 root 2. This is maximum peak value. And omega is equal to 2 pi f, which is frequency, that is 314. I can write f is equal to 314 divided by 2 pi. This is 314 divided by 2 into 3.14. So frequency f can be written as 314 divided by 2 into 314 into 10 power minus 2. This and this gets cancelled, which is equal to 100 divided by 2. So frequency f is equal to 50 Hz. So we have calculated peak value and we need to calculate VRMS. VRMS is equal to V naught divided by root 2. V naught is 220 root 2 divided by root 2. This and this gets cancelled, which is 220 volt. VRMS we have calculated. Average voltage, V average is equal to 2 V naught divided by pi. That is 2 times. V naught value is 220 root 2 divided by pi. That is V average and frequency. So this is how, if the voltage function is being given, you can find out V average, we can find out VRMS. We can find out frequency, and we can even estimate maximum peak value of the voltage. So the current is made up of two components. I1 is equal to 3 ampere and AC component is 4 root 2 sine omega t. You should find out reading of the hot wire ammeter. Reading of hot wire ammeter is IRMS. What is IRMS here? IRMS can be written as integration I square into dt, limits are from 0 to t, divided by integration dt, limits are from 0 to t. This is equation number 1. That is the value of IRMS, and this value it measures. Now, the current have one DC component and one AC component. Therefore, I can write I net is equal to IDC plus IAC. What is IDC? IDC is equal to 3 plus IDC is equal to 4 root 2 into sine omega t. This is equal to I net. So whenever you are getting DC component along with AC component, you can just add them so that you will be getting net current. You need to take IRMS of that. So in order to find out that IRMS, what I do? IRMS is equal to integration 0 to capital T 3 plus 4 root 2 sine omega t whole square dt divided by integration dt 0 to capital T. So integration dt is however t and upper limit is capital T, that I will substitute here 1 by t, and integration of 0 to capital T. This it is in the form of a plus b whole square. It is a square dt plus integration 0 to capital T 4 square. It is 16 into 2 sine square omega t dt plus integration 0 to t 2 into 3 into 4 root 2 into sine omega t dt. This whole you need to evaluate the integration. If you evaluate this integration, you can write it as I square, of course. This is I square RMS. So it is I square RMS is equal to 5 ampere. I square RMS is 5 ampere. So IRMS is equal to root 5 ampere. This is current measured by hot wire ammeter. So whenever you want to find out current through hot wire ammeter, you should just use this procedure. Students, we already have learned different terms related to alternating currents. We have learned what is IRMS, I average, maximum peak current, and P average, P instantaneous, and also virtual power and power factor. These things we have discussed till now, and there are few more definitions regarding AC circuits. One is resistance. And you are very familiar with this term resistance, which opposes the free flow of electric charge. So a conductor will definitely offer some resistance which opposes the free flow of electric current. It is said to be resistance. There is no change in that. In DC and AC, the resistance value would remain same. And that is for direct current. And the other definition is impedance. Impedance is denoted with Z. Impedance is the opposition offered by a conductor to flow of alternating current. So in direct current, we call it as resistance. In alternating current, we will just name it as impedance. The physical significance of both resistance and impedance is the same. In AC circuit, impedance opposes the free flow of alternating current. Impedance Z can be written as alternating EMF divided by alternating current. So simply you can write it as Z is equal to VRMS divided by IRMS. Or you can even write Z is equal to V0 divided by I0. Or you can even write Z is equal to just V divided by I. So impedance is similar to resistance in DC circuits. In AC, we just call the resistance as impedance. And the reciprocal of impedance is called admittance. Admittance is denoted with Y. Y is equal to 1 by Z. Unit of impedance is ohm. Unit of impedance is ohm, and unit of admittance is 1 by ohm. 1 by ohm is also called MHO, mho, or even you can write it as Siemens. These are the other three definitions which will be used in AC circuits. Resistance we know very well. Impedance is similar to resistance in AC circuits. Admittance is reciprocal of impedance. And in DC, admittance can be simply called as conductance. Conductance in DC is similar to admittance in AC. You can see in the animation, when the vectors are rotated in circular path in anti-clockwise direction, their motion can be represented as sinusoidal graphs in coordinate system. So alternating current or alternating voltage which varies with respect to time in the form of sinusoidal function can be represented as vectors which are revolving with respect to fixed axis in circular path, and that representation of rotation of the vectors in the circular path is said to be a phasor diagram. It is said to be a phasor diagram. So as we already know that alternating voltage E is equal to E naught into sine of omega t. Similarly, I is equal to I naught into sine omega t. These are sinusoidal functions, and those sinusoidal functions can be represented on the graph. Here you will be taking either E, or you will be taking either I, and here you will be taking time. The variation of voltage and current is in such a way that they are sinusoidal. Such a sinusoidal graphs can be represented with rotation of these vectors in a circular path in anti-clockwise direction. So when you are taking a vector and if it is being rotated in anti-clockwise direction in the circular path, whatever the components of these vectors are projecting, their components represent EMF and as well as current in AC. For example, if you are considering this vector, initially it is at this position. This vector is going from here to here. What have happened to Y component? Y component is increased, Y component is decreased, Y component is increased in opposite direction, Y component is decreased. Again, finally it is coming to the original position. So the vector which is revolving in this circular path can be represented in the form of a sinusoidal function, vice versa. So sinusoidal function is mathematical representation of AC circuits, AC current in the circuit. The pictorial representation of AC current and AC voltage can be either done by sinusoidal graphs or by phasor diagrams. So phasor diagrams gives the physical significance of AC voltage and as well as AC currents. So the physical quantity which varies, which represents both instantaneous value and direction of AC at any instant is called as a phasor. It's called as a phase, and it is a dimensionless quantity. Its unit is radian. And the phase difference, the difference between phases of current and voltage is called phase difference. About phase and phase difference, you will be learning in class 11th oscillations chapter itself. So you can write E is equal to E naught sine omega t plus pi 1. I is equal to I naught sine omega t plus pi 2. Current and voltage both are not in the same phase because here phase is pi 1, here phase is pi 2. The phase difference between these two can be represented as delta pi, which is equal to pi 1 difference pi 2. You do not know whether pi 1 is greater or pi 2 is greater. However, this is angle. So it is just pi 1 minus pi 2. The quantities varies sinusoidally with time and can be represented as projection of a rotating vector is called as a phasor. A diagram representing alternating EMF and alternating current of same frequency as rotating vector is called a phasor, with phase angle between them is called phasor diagram. So clearly, let me consider this one represents voltage V is equal to V naught into sine of omega t. And this is representing current I, which is equal to I naught sine omega t. I and V, both vectors are not coincided with each other. If those two vectors are coincided with each other, we say that they are in phase. But if these two vectors are not in phase, these two have some difference. This vector is rotating at an instant with an angle pi 2, and this one is rotating at an angle with pi 1 with respect to x-axis. So both have phase difference delta pi, which is equal to pi 1 minus pi 2. Now the variation of voltage and current with their phase difference pi 1 minus pi 2 can be represented on the sinusoidal graph in this way. And you can just check the animation and clearly you can understand what is the advantage of phasor diagram. You can see that clearly. The rotation of vectors in the circular path with respect to fixed axis can be represented as sinusoidal graph in 2 dimension. Therefore, alternating voltage, alternating current can be represented with a phasor diagram, which gives the description of alternating voltage and alternating current. Do you have any questions to ask? See, there are few phasor diagrams, like we have different vectors here. This is one vector, this is another vector, and this is another vector. Three are not in the same phase, three are out of phase because all the three are like its angle is 0. It is making some angle with x-axis. It is making some angle with x-axis. Therefore, they are not in the phase. This red color vector, black color vector, green color vector, blue color vector, their magnitudes are not same and also their angles also not same. They have some phase difference and as well as angle phase difference. They have some delta pi not equal to 0 and magnitude of those vectors are also not equal. Such different vectors rotated in circular path can inherit a sinusoidal graph which can be plotted like this. So phasor diagrams has advantage of representing variable currents and as well as variable voltages. So the rotation of these vectors can just are being used to represent them in the form of graphical path. You can just see that. Understand this clearly. Observe those different vectors: red color vector, black vector, green, and as well as blue. Based on their position, you are getting a sinusoidal graph right side. The magnitude of black color, red color, green color, blue color vectors are undergoing change. That variation can be represented in the graph just by considering their rotation along circular path in anti-clockwise direction. This is the way phasor diagrams are advantageous in order to represent AC voltage and as well as AC currents in the circuit. Yeah. So if EMF is given by E is equal to E naught sine omega t, current is given as I is equal to I naught sine omega t plus pi. The phase difference between current and voltage is this pi, which is a positive if current leads. If current is leading the voltage by some angle, then pi will be positive. If current is lagging behind the voltage, then it will be negative. Phase difference will be negative. Negative if current lags and 0 if current is in phase with the EMF. In this case, see, this is voltage and this is current. Voltage is 0, current is maximum. Therefore, here pi is not equal to 0 and it is positive. And this is representing cos graph and this is representing sine graph. Both are differed by a phase angle of 90 degrees. So there is a phase difference of EMF and current which is equal to 90. Likewise, this is voltage, this is current. Current voltage is 0, but current is minus 1 or minus I. So current is lagging behind the voltage. So current is back of the voltage. Therefore, you can just write current and voltage are differing by a phase difference of 90 degrees and current lags the voltage by 90. EMF leads the current by 90 degrees. So you can just write it as minus pi. If current is leading, you will just write it as plus pi. If current is lagging behind the voltage, you will just write it as minus pi. And these are very, very important because the phasor diagrams will be used in next coming lectures. So don't forget these, they are very important.